Chairman. Thank you, Senator Getty. I will skip the introduction. Could not have done it better myself. Our school has been recognized by Newsweek and the Washington Post and U.S. News and World Report and Business Week and the Center for Education Reform. We've done a very good job, and I like to think that we have done great things for education in our entire community by providing competition for the school district. We embrace the philosophy of doing more with less. It's very much a part of what we're about. We're in an abandoned pet store. In our middle school and our high school is an abandoned Service Master warehouse retrofitted to our purpose. Our fiscal responsibility has allowed us to build a substantial reserve over the years. 1/3 of that reserve is gone, however, and that reserve is important. Scott Thompson talked about trying to work with banks, and that reserve has helped us to have a good relationship with our bank and to qualify for some pretty good interest rates. But in the last 5 years, our per-student funding has decreased by 24%. If not for the federal stimulus money that we had over the last 3 years, our doors would probably already be closed. It's a dire situation, and charter schools, as you know, do not qualify, cannot run levies. It's been tough for everybody, but it's not equally tough for everybody. Our local school district is currently running a levy for, I think, about $25 million. That represents 20% of their annual budget. I don't grudge them that. I envy them. If you had a business, though, I mean, who would not, if they had the option, just go get more money? We can't do that. We can fundraise to the tune of $20,000 or $30,000 a year, but that 20% levy that they're running, in our world, with a $3 million annual budget, that would equate to about $600,000 annually. We have no access to any of this. Thank you. Let's see. Charter schools alone lack the capacity to run these levies. So I would argue that charter schools alone lack the ability to compensate for cuts in funding. 90% of our budget is salaries, of course. We've been frozen for 3 years already. There are no cuts to be made, meaningful. We could cut out books and computers and equipment and supplies and cut salaries by 10%, and we still wouldn't make up those cuts that we've seen. Thank you. We have a debt service of about $250,000 every year, which has to come from our general budget. Now imagine a school district having to pay that chunk of their annual budget toward facilities, their general budget. They can't do it. They wouldn't do it. And I guess in closing, what I would say is we are at the picture of fiscal responsibility. We do it right. We believe in the philosophy of doing more with less, and yet there's a line, and we're past that line. We don't pay for any frills, sports activities, or anything else. Thank you.
Dan, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Next, we have Sandy.
Chairman DeMordaunt and committee members, thank you for the opportunity to speak to you today. My name is Sandy Merrick, and I'm proud to be an elementary public school teacher with a master's in reading and my 20th year of teaching with the Boise School District. I have seen and embraced several positive changes in education during that time, including the use of technology in my classroom daily for the last 9 years. Unfortunately, negative trends in education are also having an effect on students' learning. Until 4 years ago, my average classroom size ranged from 24 to 26 students. After passage of the Luna laws and cuts in education funding, my classroom size rose to a high of 32 students last year. This year, my class size was reduced to 28 students, but only because of the passage of the supplemental bond levy by citizens of the Boise School District. That levy provided funding to hire an additional upper grade teacher at my school. I teach in a Title I school, and 10 of my 28 students are English language learners who came to America from Iraq, Nepal, Mexico, Morocco, Ethiopia, Kenya, Turkmenistan, Jamaica, and Uzbekistan. Add to them students who are homeless, socioeconomically disadvantaged, some with learning disabilities, and a few who are gifted and talented. That is my public school classroom, and I put my heart and soul every day into giving them my best and helping them achieve their full potential to be successful in school and in life. Some say that class size doesn't matter, but I can tell you that it does matter. This year, with a few less students, I am able to give more individualized instruction and attention, which leads to improved learning. I give my best every day to educate my students, but I can't do it alone, so I'm asking you for your help. I ask you to ensure that Idaho meets its constitutional commitment to establish and maintain a general, uniform, and thorough system of free public common schools. Idaho school districts should not have to resort to supplemental property tax levies to make up the deficit in public school funding from the state. I ask you to work with teachers, not against us. Resurrecting parts of Proposition 1 just months after 57% of Idaho voters said no to it insults teachers and undermines the democratic process. Holding back the $30 million in public school funds from the failed propositions as a trade by the ISBA for the passage of the 7 labor bills implies that politics is more important than our children. I believe I make a difference in my students' lives, and you can make a difference in them too. Public school students, teachers, and parents need your support to restore education funding and restore respect for Idaho educators and the work we do every day. Let's give our children the education and the future they deserve. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Sandy. Next, Don Keller, and while Don is coming down, now I don't know that I have your name on it. Did I call you?
I'm sorry, Chairman. I'm going to yield my time.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead. And while you're coming to the podium, next we have Joseph Kren, Laurie Keister, Gail Chumley, and Karen, looks like Ryan, or so we'll go from there. Could you please tell us who you are?
Sure. Senator Getty, Chairman DeMordaunt, committee members, thank you for this opportunity. My name is Kelly Trudeau. I am the administrator of Compass Public Charter School.
Thank you.
I'm speaking to you today as an advocate for all students. When I was working on my administrative degree, my mentor told me that I should base all of my questions or all of my decisions on one question: what is best for kids? I took this to heart, and this question has been my guide. It is a great guiding question for all educators and legislators with educational decisions to make. So what is best for kids? Excellent teachers are best for kids. I think we would all agree to that. And how do we make sure that our schools have excellent teachers? We don't allow unions to decide. We give control back to administrators and school boards. It isn't difficult to spot good teachers. They are the ones that are up talking and walking around in the classroom. Their students are engaged, and there is an obvious rapport between the teacher and the students. Likewise, it isn't difficult to spot poor teachers. They are the ones teaching from their seat instead of their feet. They have little to no classroom management or rapport. Administrators are very capable of evaluating teachers and making recommendations to school boards. Additionally, school choice is best for kids. We don't live in a one-size-fits-all society. I have seen students thrive when they are enrolled in a school that fits their needs and their learning style. Sometimes that decision or that choice needs to change throughout their educational career. My own children are an example of this. They attended the charter school up until high school, and then they attended a traditional public high school in the Meridian School District. And so as a parent, I appreciated that choice. However, we need to level the playing field for charter schools. If we agree and support that charter schools are important, then we need to level the playing field. It isn't that charter schools receive less funding per pupil. We actually are funded the same as a lot of the small schools, and as I've heard many of the small school districts get up here today, I can absolutely relate to their experience. The difference is that we cannot levy taxes, so we do not receive any property taxes to fund for our facilities. Therefore, we must pay for our facilities out of our entitlement dollars, and that is based on student enrollment and student attendance. And it leaves very little money left to be able to pay for utilities and equipment and textbooks. At my particular charter school, we had already had a facility and already had a bond payment when all of the cuts occurred. So we had a choice. We either cut programs or we could increase enrollment to pay for the facilities. So we doubled our enrollment, which means we now have several classrooms where we have two classes using one classroom. While one class is out in science, another class is in that room using it. So again, charter schools are very fiscally, we manage our money very well. We try to be fiscally responsible. We ask for your help and support. Thank you. We know you have tough decisions, so thank you for all that you do. And hopefully you will use the question, what is best for kids, in guiding you.
Thank you so much. Joseph Kren will be next.
Chairman Doran, Chairman Getty, members of the Joint Committee, my name is Joseph Anthony Kren, and I am the superintendent of the St. Mary's Joint School District, number 41, which is comprised of 1,000 students in rural Benoit County. Thank you for the opportunity to address you this afternoon. Specific to my district, we have seen a reduction of over $1.6 million from our roughly $6 million general fund budget over the past 4 years. In addition to this, we recently reduced another $204,000 before setting the supplemental levy for the upcoming election. While the amount my board is asking for is once again increased, the increase is a function of the lost revenues associated with declining enrollment and the need for us to use what little available fund balance we had to restore days of instruction and a teaching position necessary in our elementary program. Through it all, our operational expenses have not gone down as we continue maintaining buildings that are anywhere from 40 to 80 years old and attempt to position ourselves for the next evolution of standards. Through all this, as with schools across Idaho, we have done well in meeting the expectations and implementing everything that has come our way. In St. Mary's, our building level data shows that our scores continue to increase, as well as having a consistent anywhere from 94 to 96% graduation rate. Benoit County, where St. Mary's resides, is currently experiencing a 13% unemployment rate. As a district, we are right at 60% free and reduced. As a district, we have reduced expenses as an effort to live within our means, but are very concerned about once again needing to rely on our local taxpayers to adequately fund what we need for the education of our students. We in St. Mary's appreciate and welcome continued accountability for what we do. We respectfully ask for your continued support of our students by adequately funding their education and for allowing us the flexibility to manage the funds at the local level. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Joseph. Next, Laurie.
Chairman, members of the committee, I thank you for the opportunity to be able to speak to you today because I have been trying to speak to many of you. I have a well-structured, well-thought-out, well-planned education reform plan that has been in the making for 6 years that I would love to share with all of you at some opportunity. It involves the things that truly affect education. With the beginning of the Coleman Report in the 1960s, which you should all be familiar with, we know that the number one component that affects student achievement is, in fact, the family. We know that the number two component that affects achievement is, in fact, poverty. We know that while teachers are the number one component within the school system, that if we ignore those other components, we are not going to have success no matter how much money or how many laws regarding teachers we throw around. We have to look at the whole entire structure. We have to stop letting this structure operate in autonomy. You have upper division education operating on its own. Even with their own structure, they do not collaborate, do not communicate, do not get along. From preschool to college education, we should have a collaborative structure from pre-K all the way through the college structure. And what I have to propose identifies all of those areas, talks about the components, is well researched, and I would love to share that information with you if I could be given the opportunity to do that. I hope that in listening to the testimonies today, you hear that we're talking about funding and serious reform and not just bills about teachers. And I hope that in considering that, you will, the next time I send you an email, give me the time to explain what 6 years of research has proven. And my research is well-founded in other models that are very functional, very successful, such as Finland, and I'd be willing to answer any questions about that, but I would love that opportunity, and that's why I'm here in this public forum today for education reform. That is true. Thank you.
Thank you very much.